When it comes to the NBA, I believe there's a few ways to tell when someone's really made it as a high profile or just well-known player. Not necessarily as a star, but just as a well-respected, well-known player. Now, one of them is when a player's name is in basically every single free agency rumor, even though they haven't said much of anything themselves. We see it literally all the time. Matter of fact, it's happening right now with Damian Lillard. Then another way is when rappers start using players' names for punchlines in their music, like say Jack Harlow with Tyler Herro. And then last but not least, another way is when the media attaches a narrative to a player with little to no evidence. For example, remember when the media was saying Jimmy Butler is a toxic teammate? Well, he quickly proved that narrative wrong in Miami. Now, the player we're talking about today isn't on the same level as guys like Jimmy Butler or Damian Lillard, but this man Cade Cunningham already has a narrative attached to his name. Yes, because not too long ago, Stephen A was on First Take and said this.
Let me say this real quick about Cade Cunningham. I'm a fan. I love his game, but I just want to say this. And so when you're in pursuit of that money, and you're in pursuit of elevating your game to another level, Russell Westbrook is somebody you should idolize. Because you look at a guy like that and that motor and the way he comes at it every single night.
So you're not just talking about aggression, you're talking about energy.
You can't ever come across like there's an absence of energy. Even at particular points.
Passion.
When you consider the fact that you're playing 30 some odd games and you're going to be playing.
That's a red flag for you?
That's always a red flag for me.
At number one overall?
Well, in any position, for a first round pick, we should never be questioning.
So you wouldn't. So would you take as a result? Cade?
I would have taken Cade Cunningham, but what I'm saying to you is that I really like this kid Green though.
So basically, there's not much to this about Cade's actual abilities, right? So Stephen A is calling into question his motor and saying he's heard that Cade sometimes plays with a lack of energy and passion. Like, what? Now, I could understand if there was clear evidence to prove this with some bad moments throughout his NCAA season, right? Except there isn't. It's really just a narrative. And in today's short vid, I'll explain why Cade will prove Stephen A wrong in his rookie season and just the biggest lies about Cade and the Detroit Pistons. But real quick before I go any further, what's up YouTube? Plug Speaks, back with a vid. If you're new, first of all, welcome. Go ahead and sub. Also like the vid if you enjoy. I upload 3 to 4 times a week and we're currently grinding for 5K, so I'd for sure appreciate it. But back to the vid though. So I said I'll explain how Cade will prove Stephen A wrong, but let me just say, Cade already has. Like I said, looking back at Cade's NCAA season, there's no real evidence to claim he doesn't play with high passion or whatever you want to call it. But there's actually evidence to claim the opposite. Yes, bro. On February 27th of this year, this man Cade dropped 40 points in a comeback win against a higher seeded team. And this wasn't 40 points in a blowout. Now, I mean, that'd be impressive too, but the context for Cade's performance makes it way better. See, his team needed all 40 of his points to actually get the win. Not to mention he finished the game with 11 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 blocks, with one of the blocks occurring with less than a minute left in the fourth quarter. And yeah, overall, it was just an absolute takeover as he willed his team to victory. And I'm sure we can all agree, someone that plays with a lack of passion or no motor, or again, whatever you want to call it, would not be able to put forth such a performance. A 40-piece double-double in a comeback win is not a casual thing. And then on top of that, when someone's playing with no effort, it's not hard to see. It's usually pretty obvious. For example, here's a viral clip that y'all may or may not have seen, but it basically shows Kevin Love throwing an inbounds pass so carelessly that the opposing team barely had to try to even steal it. That right there was what you call playing with no effort. Sure, he plays for the Cavs, but there's no excuse for this. It was obvious, and it was such a bad look that this man Kevin Love came out and apologized for acting as if he didn't want to be there. So yeah, for Stephen A to come out and say he's heard quote-unquote effort concerns about the #1 overall pick, it's gotta be an attempt at a fake narrative, I don't see any other reason. I just don't. But anyway, I don't want to keep dragging it. This is honestly what the media does. It doesn't really make it right, but it's not new. So yeah, but before I end this, I need to point out one more lie that is also about Cade, but has less to do about Cade, and is more so about the Detroit Pistons. So there's this idea that Cade to the Pistons is bad, as in it's a horrible start to his career and that they'll ruin him, which is cap. And I'm sure some of the people that say this are the same ones that felt bad for LaMelo going to Charlotte or Zion going to New Orleans. So I don't want to think too deep into it, but it's just annoying. And I do want to acknowledge that the Pistons are actually a solid landing spot for Cade. Now, from a hype standpoint, yes, you could argue Detroit isn't a huge market, but let's not forget, big markets are also where the pressure's at. So at least he doesn't gotta deal with the immense media attention like Lonzo did on the Lakers. That's a recipe for disaster. And then when it comes to the actual personnel of this team, it's not like the Pistons are just this black hole completely devoid of talent. Not at all. Matter of fact, the Pistons were the only team to have 2 players make all rookie selections, with Saddiq Bey and Isaiah Stewart. And Saddiq Bey especially has some quality upside. He's fresh off averaging 12 points, almost 5 rebounds, while shooting a high 38% from 3. Not to mention a quality veteran in Jeremy Grant, who can play like a borderline all-star on any given night, fresh off averaging 22 points a game. They also got a knockdown shooter in Frank Jackson, who shot 40% from 3 last year. And then beyond the roster, there's the fact that the Pistons have nowhere to go but improve, literally. They were the first pick for many reasons. In this past season, they were terrible. Bad offense, poor defense, poor shooting, high turnovers, poor communication, bunch of young players, just everything. And no one expected them to win many games. Like, no one. Not even the riskiest of bettors in Las Vegas. No one was betting on the Pistons. And even now, I don't think people see this roster contending for a playoff spot, even a play-in spot. But they did improve, definitely, and aren't devoid of talent. And adding someone many people see as a generational talent in Cade is a plus no matter how anyone slices it. It's not a bad fit either. Please tell me how a 6'8" Luka type guard can be a bad fit on any rebuilding team. But yeah, man, that's about it for the vid. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Y'all let me know what you think about what Stephen A had to say about Cade's passion for the game and Cade's fit with the Pistons. But anyway, I appreciate y'all watching as always, seriously. And yeah, like this up, share it, sub if new, all of that. And I'm out. See you on the next one.